Everybody want me to talk about it, man. Chief Keef and NBA YoungBoy did a song together, man. And people talking about that he ain't loyal to King Von or Dirk or none of that. Hey, look, bro, I know y'all don't know y'all history, though.
You know, what do you think about that, man? And can Chief Keef come back to
I still
OBlock?
talk to him. I still FaceTime. So I hear DM me back, all type of shit.
You won't believe the snake move Chief Keef just pulled in his own city. This man linked up with NBA YoungBoy, the same YN who's beefing with his late friend King Von's crew. But it gets even crazier. Some Block members are now talking about backdooring Sosa and banning him from Chicago for good. Let me explain how this turned into a full-blown mess. Before we dive in, understand this isn't small drama. This cuts deep. We're talking about someone who grew up with these guys, ate with them, stayed in the same buildings, and now he's side by side with their biggest rival. That's serious disrespect. This isn't just rap politics. This is loyalty, street code, and how money can change people fast. Let's start from the top, because this story runs deeper than most people realize. Chief Keef wasn't always a rich rapper in mansions with luxury cars. He was raised in OBlock, surrounded by real street life every day. Parkway Gardens had a heavy reputation, and names like King Von, Boss Top, T-Roy, and others were known around that area. Keef was just another kid from the block, but he stood out. He could rap, and his energy felt real because it came from real experiences. When he started, he wasn't just talking about street life, he had lived through serious situations himself. Arrests, conflicts, chaos. That was part of his early story like many around him. What makes this twist wild is that Keef had closer ties to Front Street, but Front Street, 300, and OBlock were all connected under the same circle at the time. They moved together, backed each other up, and shared the same roots. So when people say OBlock, they're really talking about that whole alliance that used to move as one. When I Don't Like dropped in 2012, everything changed overnight. One minute he's a teen in the projects, next minute he signs a $6 million deal with Interscope and levels up fast. But here's the wild part. The fame hit so quick, he barely had time to understand it. One day, he's just another kid from the neighborhood. The next day, he's got millions and the whole industry watching his every move. Then Sosa grabbed that bag and moved straight to LA. No slow transition, no big plan to relocate the whole crew. He only brought about 3 people with him? Think about that. A whole block that stood by you when you had nothing. People who protected you, who made sure you were straight when money was low. And when you finally get the chance to change everybody's situation, you leave most of them behind. That's what hurt. He brought close names like Ball Out and Tato, but the rest stayed in Chicago, still facing the same struggles and risks every day. That decision sparked real tension, because some felt like Sosa switched up the second the money came in. The homies back in Chicago started noticing a different Chief Keef. This wasn't the same kid on the block splitting small money and looking out for everybody. Now, he's on Instagram flashing stacks, showing off luxury cars, iced out chains, and big mansions. Meanwhile, his people back home were still stuck in the same struggles, dealing with the same pressure every day. That contrast hit hard. When someone goes from nothing to millions overnight, it can change them fast. But how you move after that shows who you really are. Some people level up and lift the whole team, others level up and start acting distant. Folks felt like Sosa picked that second route, and that's where the tension really started. He wasn't just another guy from OBlock anymore. People felt like he was moving different, talking different, like he was above the same place that built his name. What made it look worse was the music. He was still shouting out the block, still claiming the set, still taking shots at rivals. So from the outside, it looked like he was using that connection to grow his brand. But when it came to helping people back home, many felt he stayed quiet. That's why some called it fake, and the homies caught on quick. King Von even spoke about it, saying Sosa would be online posting guns and talking tough, but when real support was needed, he wasn't showing up the same way. Von felt like that was straight clown behavior. You can't say you're helping if you're not really doing anything. But here's where the real street politics kicked in, and most people don't even catch this part. There was a guy from OBlock named Trey 5 who got locked up on gun charges. His bond was set at $25,000, and they only needed 10%, about $2,500 to get him out. That might not sound huge to outsiders, but when you're broke in the projects, $2,500 feels impossible. Von, Boss Top, and others started grinding hard to raise it. They hustled, flipped whatever they could, tried every move they knew just to bring their guy home. They were putting in real effort, but even after all that, they still couldn't hit the full amount. So they reached out to the one person they thought wouldn't hesitate. Chief Keef had just signed a $6 million deal. To them, $2,500 should have been light work. They called him like, "We need help getting our boy out. We're family. We're from the same block. This is what we do." And Sosa kept saying, "Yeah, I got y'all. I'm gonna send that money. Just give me a minute." That's what he told them. But a minute turned into days. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And that money never showed up. That right there is when feelings really changed. It wasn't just about the cash anymore. It was about promises, loyalty, and whether success had already pulled him too far away from the people who stood with him from day one. He kept stalling, kept making excuses, kept saying he would handle it, but never actually did. Boss Top later spoke on it and explained how they felt dragged along for way too long. According to him, they gave Keef plenty of time to step up. From their view, their rich friend had the money and simply wasn't sending it. So they decided to handle it themselves, and that's when everything went left. King Von, Boss Top, and a few others felt like if Sosa wasn't going to help willingly, they would take what they believed they were owed. In their minds, he was playing games and acting distant, so they justified their move. On March 27, 2014, they went to the house in Highland Park where Keef was staying with his manager. This wasn't a calm pull-up. Authorities later described it as a home invasion. Reports that surfaced said items were taken, including a car, designer clothes, and other expensive belongings. It even got more controversial when claims came out that Boss Top went into Keef's child's room and took some clothes along with small household items. That part had people looking at the situation sideways. It showed how heated emotions had become. The wildest part? During the chaos, someone was shot and ended up in the ICU. Law enforcement classified the case as home invasion and attempted murder. What started as frustration over $2,500 turned into a serious criminal case that shook everything up. Authorities named Boss Top and several other OBlock members as suspects. If they were caught and charged, they were facing serious prison time. The situation was heavy. After it happened, Keef's manager contacted the police, but instead of focusing on the people who allegedly robbed him, Sosa went on Twitter and called his own manager a soft ass for calling the cops. That shocked a lot of people. He seemed more upset about law enforcement being involved than about the break-in itself. Then he posted RIP Boss Top and later deleted it. People ran with that. Some took it as, "You're dead to me." Others thought maybe he believed someone got seriously hurt during the chaos. Either way, it added more tension to an already explosive situation. From that point on, the relationship between Keef and parts of his old circle was never the same. The divide felt permanent, but it didn't stop there. During the incident, Boss Top allegedly took Keef's signature chain, not just any chain, but the one people connected to Sosa's image. That piece meant status. It meant identity. And when word got out that it was gone, the internet went crazy. Things escalated when Lil Durk mentioned it in a diss track saying, "Boss Top got your chain." That line spread fast and made the situation even more public. Getting your chain taken is already damaging to your reputation, but when it's someone you grew up with and another rapper broadcasts it, that hit different. Boss Top later appeared in a music video wearing the chain and posting photos with it online, daring Sosa to come get it back. Social media turned ruthless. Fans started clowning him with nicknames after rumors spread that items from a child's room were also taken during the incident. The whole situation became messy, public, and impossible to ignore. This whole situation damaged Boss Top's name in the rap scene, but he didn't seem bothered. In his mind, he was justified. The wild twist? That same chain later got taken from Boss Top by Famous Dex. So it went from Chief Keef to Boss Top to Famous Dex. At that point, people started joking the chain was cursed. Every time it switched hands, drama followed. That's how messy the politics got. King Von was heavily connected to all of this, and he never stayed quiet about how he felt. Von believed Keef handled the Trey 5 situation the wrong way, and everything after that just confirmed it for him. In Von's eyes, if you make it out of the neighborhood, you're supposed to lift your people up, not leave them behind. He would call out how Sosa posted guns and stacks online, talking like he was still putting in work for the block. But when it was time to show real support, Von felt like he didn't see action behind the words. To Von, that looked fake. You can't claim you're holding the block down if you won't even help with your own friend's bond. Loyalty meant everything to him. Loyalty to his people, Loyalty to where he came from, loyalty to the code they grew up on.
Loyalty for me is strong though. It's like loyalty to me is for everybody that a nigga fucking with. So
when Von felt that code was broken, he took it personally. He believed Sosa's moves showed distance from the same community that helped build his name. From there, the divide got real. It felt like people had to pick a side, Sosa or the Block. A lot chose the Block because they believed certain lines had been crossed. Von often said Keef was moving selfish, focused only on his own success and nothing else. When you look at how everything unfolded, it's hard not to question it. Keef had the ability to help, but he didn't step in, and that choice damaged his relationship with parts of his old circle for good. This wasn't happening in a calm moment either. It was the peak of Chicago drill. Tension between different neighborhoods was already high, and conflicts were active. OBlock had issues with STL. 300 had problems with 051. The atmosphere was intense, and the music was reflecting that energy. Tracks like I Don't Like and others included disrespect toward rivals, which only made things more heated. The sound was raw, aggressive, and it grabbed attention fast. But while the music was gaining streams and deals, the reality back home didn't slow down. People in Chicago were still dealing with the fallout. They were the ones facing danger, losing friends, and living through the pressure. Meanwhile, Keef was in LA, building his career and earning millions from records tied to that same environment. That contrast bothered some people. They felt like the stories, pain, and tension from their neighborhoods were turning into profit, but the support wasn't coming back the same way. Then, fast forward to November 6, 2020. King Von was killed in Atlanta during an incident outside a hookah lounge. Reports later confirmed he was shot by someone connected to NBA YoungBoy's circle. That's when everything got even more complicated. People close to Von, including Lil Durk and others around him, quickly distanced themselves from NBA YoungBoy out of loyalty to Von's memory. Lines were drawn fast, emotions were high, and every move after that started getting watched closely. It turned into an unspoken rule. If you were truly with Von, you didn't deal with NBA YoungBoy or anyone tied to him. No music, no links, no public respect. That's how loyalty works in that world. When someone close to you loses their life in a conflict, you don't turn around and connect with the other side. Lil Durk made that clear. He cut off any chance of working with YoungBoy, even though a collab could have made serious money. For him, loyalty came first. That was his stance, and he stood on it. But Chief Keef moved differently. By that point, he already had distance from OBlock, and his history with Von had tension attached to it. From Sosa's perspective, he didn't feel obligated to honor someone he had unresolved issues with. He likely saw it as separate from his own path. Still, people felt it looked cold, especially when Keef started being seen around Kayla B, King Von's sister. Photos popped up, social media posts showed them together. She appeared supportive, showing him public love online. That's when eyebrows really went up, because now it wasn't just about music or outside alliances, it looked personal. Von had past issues with Keef, and now his sister was publicly cool with him. For a lot of observers, that added another layer to an already complicated situation. In environments built on loyalty and history, every move gets watched. And this one definitely had people talking. To some people, that looked like the ultimate disrespect to Von's memory. A lot of OBlock members were not feeling it at all. They believed Kayla B should have stayed solid for her brother instead of being seen with Chief Keef, the same person they felt turned his back on the block when help was needed most. From their point of view, Von had called Keef fake before, so watching his sister around him felt wrong. It hit people emotionally. They thought family loyalty should have come first. At the same time, others tried to see Kayla's side. Keef was successful, wealthy, and established. Maybe she saw him for who he was at that moment, not just the past drama. Maybe she wasn't fully locked into every detail of the history between him and her brother. Still, from the outside, it looked messy, and it made the tension between Keef and parts of OBlock even worse. Now, it wasn't just about old arguments, it felt personal. It felt tied to family. Then another twist dropped. NBA YoungBoy said in interviews that Chief Keef was his favorite rapper growing up. The same artist whose associate was involved in the incident that took Von's life was openly praising Sosa. YoungBoy talked about listening to Keef's music when he was younger. He mentioned tracks like I Don't Like and Love Salsa as inspiration. He said Keef influenced his sound and even pushed him toward making drill-style music. That added a whole new layer. Now you've got admiration, past conflicts, loyalty questions, and industry power all mixed together. So when Chief Keef heard that YoungBoy looked up to him, and credited him as an influence, people were waiting to see how he would respond. Instead of keeping his distance out of respect for the King Von situation, instead of staying neutral, Chief Keef went and linked up with YoungBoy in the studio. That move shocked a lot of people. You've got Keef, who came from the same neighborhood as Von, recording with the artist connected to the circle involved in Von's death. To many, that felt like deep disrespect, like the loss didn't matter, like the history didn't count. They dropped a track called Tony Montana Flow, like everything was normal. Studio clips showed them laughing, vibing, making music together while Von's loved ones were still grieving. That image didn't sit right with a lot of people. When the song came out, reactions from some OBlock affiliates were loud. Social media lit up. Posts started calling Sosa disloyal. Some said he crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. Others claimed he shouldn't return to certain parts of Chicago. Emotions were high, and the comments got intense. Some younger members were in his posts talking wild, saying if anyone praises Sosa, they're wrong. There were aggressive captions, heated statements, and a lot of anger in the air. When Keef later hinted online about buying property back in the neighborhood, responses came quick. People mocked the idea and said he wouldn't even feel comfortable coming back. The tension became very public. What might have been just a music collaboration turned into something bigger because of the history behind it. Loyalty, pride, grief, and old wounds all mixed together. And once that song dropped, it was clear the divide wasn't quiet anymore. That's how deep this conflict runs. Some people don't even want his money, they just want distance. No ties, no return. What makes it wild is that a lot of these same guys used to be close to him. They made music together, hung out daily, backed each other up. Now the energy is completely different. The anger shows how personal they feel this situation is. In their eyes, Chief Keef broke the rules of loyalty and respect that they grew up on. They believe he picked money over family, fame over friendship, success over the code. And once someone is seen like that, they're not just distant, they're viewed as an outsider. So now it feels like Sosa is cut off from parts of his own city. The same neighborhood that helped build his name doesn't see him the same way anymore. That shift didn't happen overnight. It stacked up over time. A lot of people still point back to the beginning, saying this could have been avoided if he had stepped in to help with that $2,500 bond. To them, that amount was small compared to the millions he had just signed for. But pride, tension, and trust issues changed everything. At this stage, Keef might not even feel connected to it anymore. He's built his own circle, his own business, his own life outside Chicago.
Starting to see why people had a saying that the best thing Chief Keef could have done was distance himself from OBlock and get out of Chicago.
After years away and major success, he may see things completely different now. But for the people who stayed, the memory of how it all unfolded still hits hard. So why would he care what his old neighborhood thinks? That mindset right there is what many say caused the split in the first place. When someone starts acting like they don't need the people who supported them early on, that's when distance turns into isolation. Now he's making music with NBA YoungBoy, and to some, that feels like ignoring everything tied to King Von's memory. He moves like the backlash doesn't matter. But streets have long memories, and certain people haven't let this go. This situation is bigger than just Chief Keef in one block. It's about what happens when success changes the dynamics, when money shifts relationships, when fame creates new priorities. That's where things get complicated. It didn't have to unfold like this. Keef could have stayed a hometown legend, someone celebrated and respected by everyone from where he started. Instead, to critics, he became an example of how fast loyalty can get questioned once major success enters the picture. Some see it as him choosing business moves over old ties, choosing opportunity over history. And that choice flipped his image in certain circles. He went from being a symbol of pride for his area to someone viewed with frustration and resentment. That's how the narrative formed. From hometown star to controversial figure, all because of decisions that people felt crossed lines they thought would never be crossed. The wildest part? All of this traces back to $2,500. If Sosa had stepped in and helped with Trey 5's bond when they first asked, maybe the timeline looks completely different. Maybe certain relationships don't break. Maybe the drill scene moves in another direction. But instead, pride and tension changed everything. Now he's making music with people tied to his former friends' rivals, building new alliances, and moving like the backlash doesn't matter. To a lot of observers, that feels cold. No emotion, no looking back. Some say he had every right to move how he wanted after getting robbed. Others believe loyalty should have outweighed everything, especially when it came to old friends. That's why this story still hits hard today. It's not just about rap. It's about choices, pride, and how one decision can shift years of history. At the end of the day, success changes situations, but it also reveals priorities. Some people stand on loyalty no matter what. Others move based on business and survival. And when those two mindsets clash, friendships can turn into permanent divides. If this breakdown gave you new insight, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into Chicago rap politics and major industry beefs. Share this video with someone who needs the full story and drop a comment letting me know what you think. Was Keef wrong for linking with YoungBoy? Should he have helped with that bond? Or did everything shift the moment that robbery happened? Tap in, subscribe, share, and comment below. More real stories coming soon.